What's up? What's good? What's poppin'? What's cracks? Percolating was really good in the hood. It's your man Theo Butler, and yes, I am coming to you with another action figure reveal. I told you guys before that I had got my hands on the Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings action figures, and I was unveiling those action figures. But before we continue, definitely hit the like, share button, subscribe, comments, definitely. But I'm having a conversation with someone, and I'm going to assume that based on the conversation that we're having, that they find the plot to Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings to be offensive. Let me say this to my Asian brothers and sisters. If you find this movie to be offensive, it is not for me to tell you not to be offended. If you're offended, I'm fine with you being offended. And hey, I don't know your culture. I don't. I'm ignorant to it. So what little I do know is it's really minor. And if this movie is offended to you, is you find this movie to be offensive, then you know what? I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna tap out of it. Yeah. If my Asian brothers and sisters, because I felt like that about the Washington football team, and I felt that way about that team for the longest time. The same way with the Atlanta baseball team. So if my Asian brothers and sisters hit me up and they say, "Hey Theo," because one dude he clearly feels some type of way. If y'all saying, "Theo, nah, we're not doing that." If that is what that is, guess what? I won't even talk about the movie. Won't talk about the movie. Won't go see the movie. Won't go review the movie. And the reason why I'm cool with saying that is because I bought these Shang-Chi action figures because of the diorama that I'm building. I wanted to be inclusive. I deliberately did not buy the previous Shang-Chi action figure because I felt that action figure was a poor representation of the Asian community. Yeah, same reason why I didn't buy the first Luke Cage action figure with the yellow disco shirt. Same way why I'm feeling some type of way about this head sculpt that's on Bishop. Nevertheless, I digress. So y'all hit me up. Let me know how y'all feeling and everything like that. And if y'all feeling that way, it is what it is at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, I'm about all of us. I ain't about some of us. And I ain't about me and mine to the expense of somebody else. So, yeah, that's that. What I am doing, though, is today I am unveiling the Wenwu action figure. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say this because at first I was going to say something along the lines of, man, I wish they would have kept the action figure more true to the comic book line. But then that would make me a hypocrite because why would I want that when good God Almighty Jesus. So we're going to go with this one. This is Wenwu. And yes, so without further ado, here we go. This is the Wenwu action figure. On the back, it says Shang-Chi's father, Wenwu, is the feared leader of the Ten Rings organization, which has lurked in the shadows of the MCU since the very beginning. Yeah, we got that. We got that. I like the artwork. You do see that Mr. Hyde build the figure and everything like that. Now, right off the rip, I'm going to go ahead and explain to you, and it's crazy, like you're going to say you're being a hypocrite, but then you're going to turn around and explain it. What I was in my feelings about, though, wasn't necessarily the adaptation of the Mandarin in regards to how he looked in the comics. What I was more necessarily looking at was where they were actually putting his weapons at in the comics, his rings, which were on his fingers, as opposed to what we're getting in the MCU, which I'll go over those shortly. So first we want to break this out, and once again, I don't say what these weapons are because I don't want to offend anybody and I don't want to get it wrong. So I'm just going to say this is his main weapon here. He has another one here. I like this. You can see that. I don't know if you can. That's got some great detail on it. I'm assuming he's going to hold it here. Yeah. I'm assuming he's going to hold that here. And in regards to this one, this would be something that he just holds in his hand. We have the right arm to the Mr. Hyde Build-A-Figure. If you take a look at that real quick, they have some nice detail on his hands. You get a chance to see that, and they have some nice paint on that. But yeah, that's the right arm for the Mr. Hyde Build-A-Figure. Now, this action figure comes with actually 2 additional hand sculpts. These would be your clenched fist hand sculpts here. These would be when he's holding on to his weapons. And once again, because I don't like to say it wrong, I don't want to get it wrong, I will leave that up to my brothers and sisters who have more knowledge than I do in regards to that, to tell me what style this would be in regards to his fighting stance. So we have these 2 hand sculpts right here. And then without further ado, we get to Shang-Chi's father, Mr. Wenwu. And the head sculpt is nice. Hasbro is definitely getting better in regards to their head sculpts. As you can see, if you're familiar with Marvel Legend, Marvel Comics, in regards to the Mandarin, Wenwu, the 10 rings would actually be on his fist. That's where the 10 rings would be normally. I'm guessing they decided to go with something bigger to put the rings on his forearms, because visually speaking, if they put them on his hands, we probably wasn't going to be able to see him that well on the action figure. So I'm thinking that was the reason that they went with that. So let's take a look at this action figure. Nice detail. Pretty much in regards to the same way they did the Wakanda action figure, specifically to T'Challa. You have this plastic robe, this soft plastic robe on here, because it stops at his waist, and you have this separate piece right now. When I say separate piece, this is actually molded on. This is actually part of it, but this piece right here, if you get a hairdryer, you can remove that. But because this soft vinyl piece is right here, you get a decent amount of ab crunch here. Action figure bends back. You see the head pivots back. We straighten up the action figure. Head pivots down. Yeah, I know that looks gross. You get the 360-degree rotation. Now, this action figure here, as I said before, if the action figure, the joints here, this one was a little stiff. You want to see if you can move it. You don't want to do too much. Like I said, if there's a stiff joint, you got a blow dryer. Hey, do that thing. Shout out to my homegirl, Diana. I would not recommend using water per se on these action figures, because if it's a soft plastic versus a harder plastic and they're the same color, hot water will change the colors on them. So you don't want to do that. So use the hair dryer. It definitely does work. But here, if we look at the arm, we got a nice little 360-degree rotation. And even though he does have, bring that back down. Even though, you see, it gave me a little trouble. Even though he does have the shoulder pad here, he does still get a decent amount of rotation. Arms out. See what you have. I would have liked these bands to have came in a different color, because we have seen from the trailers that the bands do change. I believe change to blue. So I would have liked to have gotten those bands in a different color, as opposed to, I guess, the color that they are prior to them being charged up. So I definitely would have got that. Would have liked that. You have this flap right here. This is also soft. The soft plastic. Once again, soft plastic. You're not going to be able to get the knees up that much because of how far this comes down. This knee will give you more articulation. Now, when it comes to the soft plastic, you can get as much articulation as you want if you're willing to take this off. But Why would you, right? So you work with what you got. So you get this knee bending up a little bit, not so much with this one because of what you have going on with the soft bottom portion, soft plastic part. In regards to the feet, you don't get necessarily ankle swivel. When I say ankle swivel, some of the action figures, this actually swivels, so you don't get that swivel. And on the ankle joint, this is what you get in regards to the ankle joint. You see how that goes up. You got the ankle joints going that way. That's a nice little change right here. And then you see that. So yes, that's a decent amount of lean. That's got to make up for the fact that you can't really bend the knees like you should. But that's it. This is Wenwu. Like I said, I'm glad to have him. I did not like the other Shang-Chi action figure. I just did. But I like this. So later on, probably tomorrow, I'll release. I'll do the last action figure that I have in regards to this particular wave, and that will be Shang-Chi himself. Before I do that though, before I let y'all go, I don't want this video going too long. Man, y'all watch what y'all say. Like in regards to action figures and everything like that, like just because you don't like an action figure doesn't mean somebody else doesn't like it. Just because you don't see any value in an action figure doesn't mean somebody else doesn't see value in that action figure. And y'all go out of the way to make y'all negative comments known. Why? It's one community. It's supposed to be one community. You like your action figures. Somebody else likes their action figures. Man, support it. At the end of the day, if you don't care about the action figure that they got, what your parents teach you? If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Some of y'all be too quick, like y'all waiting. You can't wait to say something negative. God almighty, man, like, damn, this is supposed to be something simple, something we supposed to enjoy. And we can't even do that because some of y'all can't get out y'all feelings because you still going over what your mama and daddy taught you instead of what your life experiences they taught you. I ain't saying, I'm just saying. Peace.